when people are moving in, we may well have talked at the viewing as well before they've chosen to take the room. But when people move in, we usually go through the contract, and all the clauses there are very, very stark black and white. And so we go through the fact that, for instance, visiting is supposed to be 2 nights per fortnight, or there's extra costs and so on. And I explain that that's really the fallback position if there are problems in the house. But that I, as a landlord, don't keep a chart and a tally chart of the number of nights people have stayed there. And so as long as people behave in a reasonable way and everyone in the house is comfortable with that, then maybe I turn a slight blind eye to it, but they're very clear that that is the fallback position if there are problems in the property. So visits are quite normal in life, I guess, and partners will come, and the age group that we are looking at, that sort of social activity is perfectly normal. So written into the contract, certainly we do have a requirement for a low number of visits, but the way we manage that tends to be fairly informal again. What we do ask is if people are going to be staying for more than 2 or 3 nights. For example, I had one particular guy who lived in the property for over 4 years, and his fiancée was a teacher in the Netherlands. So she naturally came over in August and spent the whole month, and the other tenants were quite happy with that. I was quite happy with that. They paid a little extra contribution. So again, if you have the relationship with the tenants where the communication channels are open, that seems to take care of itself, and we don't get excessive visiting. Yeah, the mix of the people in the house is a really interesting one, and I've heard landlords say we want all female. They'll keep the house much tidier, and some do, some don't. But I do think it's important to have variety in the property, and what I've learned over the 10 years that if we can keep it mixed, and it's not always, you don't want the void to sort of extend, so you have to take in a sense what's on the market at the time. So we've had occasions where the pendulum has swung a little bit, so that we've only got one female maybe in a house, but I then really try hard when the next vacancy comes up to make it back to 2 and maybe 3. So we try to keep the gender balance there. We try and keep within an age group that is sensible, so the 20s, early 30s, so there's some common interests, if you like. The interesting analysis I also did in terms of people from overseas. So we roughly in houses of 6 and 7, we've probably got 1 or 2 people, mainly from Europe, but some coming to work at the hospital from India and elsewhere. And my observation is that also helps with the dynamics around the whole house. There's an extra layer of interest there, and there's been some friendships formed now where I think the last report I heard, there was something like 30 former tenants and current tenants from one property going to Oktoberfest in Munich as a get-together again from meeting up in one of my HMOs. So that's really nice and rewarding to hear.